You can have the perfect cast and the best gear in the world, but none of that matters if you're not putting flies in front of the trout's face. Over the years, I've spent way too much time worrying about flies, leaders, and gear setups when the biggest thing that actually helped me catch more fish was simply learning more about trout and changing the way I fish to match their behavior. In this video, I'll show exactly what I'm looking for when I hit the river, along with a couple tips that have saved me a ton of time and helped me catch way more fish. Welcome to Fifth Day Fly Fishing. I'll see you out there.
Okay, this run right here actually looks pretty fishy. There we go. Okay. I think it's a little wild trout. Definitely don't seem big enough to be a stalker. All right, here we go. Pretty little wild trout. Look at that guy. See you, buddy.
As I continue to fish the seams under this deadfall, I wanted to take a second to better explain this first point. The main thing I'm trying to keep in mind is that trout want easy food, and they don't want to spend any more energy than they have to getting it. If you can find a spot where they can comfortably wait for food while also having some protection from predators, you'll probably find trout. That's why seams, current breaks, and structure are so important. They create safe little feeding lanes where trout can hold with very little effort while the river does all the work.
So the main idea for today is just to go over 4 or 5 different things that I picked up over the years that would have saved me a ton of time and helped me catch a lot of fish. With the last one being one that I really wish I knew. It's super simple and I think often overlooked, and it would have saved me so much time. All right, so as I come up to this run, I'll talk about it real quick. So this is a good example of a tail out here where the water is quick, slows down a little bit, and it starts to pull up. Trout can sit here at the end of this and expend 0 energy. I'll pop it up, but there was a study that they did where it showed that a dead trout, no strings attached or anything, was able to stay in the same position in some current. So that I have definitely caught some pretty good sized fish in the tail out. Oh, big one. Oh my goodness. Big fish of the day, no doubt. See, I'm wondering if they're sitting more at the head of the run, right where all the ripples are. Offers a lot of protection for them, you know. Oh, there was. Okay. I really thought I was on a rock there. Hello, buddy. All right, that sort of answers that question, I think. Decent fish right here. Good way to start it out. Hey, buddy. So I think that's something that's just sort of come with doing this for many years now, is knowing the conditions and where to find fish. And when the water is low and clear like this, they're looking for structure, they're looking for cover. And it's really simple why. There are birds up here, there are literally bald eagles that'll cruise this river here looking for an easy meal. So they don't want to sit out in the open. And when it's low and clear like this, they're easy picking. By the way, if you're enjoying the content, if you don't mind leaving this video a like, it helps a whole lot. And please consider subscribing if you haven't already. Those 2 things, it really means a lot, and I appreciate it, so thank you. I like this run right here because you can see where the run hits this rock and then it gets really deep. The water slows down a little bit, it gets deep. And there are so many little wild trout in here, it's crazy. I've seen them everywhere, but that's not what I'm going after. It doesn't really matter. I'm trying to get some bigger ones too. I like this run over here. There we go. That might be a wild fish even. No, I think it's just a smaller stockfish. Yeah, not very big, very skinny. See you, buddy. So that seems to be the case for today. They're probably gonna be holding like up towards the riffles. So that'll probably be the name of the game. And that's one of the first things I'll do. I'll figure out where I'm actually hooking into the fish, and then that's what I'll focus on. But I'm gonna finish this whole section here, just this little section. You can see some deeper plunge pools up there. I'm gonna finish this and then I'll move. But right here, pretty good. Fast water leading to deep water. That's all I'm looking at. Nothing super technical about it. There's a fish. Yeah. All right, here we go. This guy was sitting right in front of that boulder there. Decent little stockfish here. So this dude was just sitting right where you would expect him pretty much. You have the fast water, slow water. He was right at him, right at where they converge, I guess you could say. Okay, so that's gonna do it for point number 1. I think we got 4, but the main idea, just keeping it super simple, is trout like structure and trout want easy food. So fish places where trout can easily sit and grab food as it passes by in the water. And that goes pretty good into point number 2, which is trout often feed down low. By the way, one really quick way to learn how to read the water and things is by nymphing like this. Tight line nymphing, euronymphing, whatever you want to call it. That was a fish. Dadgummit, man, I'm missing so many hook sets. It's crazy. It gives you complete control over your nymph. So I'm putting this nymph right at that seam, and that's where that fish just bit. I'll pop up the gear that I'm using and stuff, by the way. And you would do the same thing with a dry dropper. You do the same thing with indicator rig, anything. Just a little bit easier to get control with a Euro rod. All right, so for point number 2, it's just that trout feed down low most of the time. They're probably only eating at the surface about 10% of the time. You know, the rest of the time it's either the very bottom or the middle of the water column. And I'd say, I think it's about 70 to 80% of the time they're feeding at the bottom. Over here is where I would think you would have some in this deeper pool. Let's see if we can pull one out of there. I've already missed quite a few, it's crazy. You see, I'm letting it drop, letting it get down really low. Oh, I saw one. I saw one going after it. Let's see if we can get him. I'm gonna raise up the nymph just a little bit. There he is. Oh, that was a little wild fish. That's not the one I was going for. There's a bigger fish in here, bigger trout. That's crazy. It's like they're hitting it one time and then they're just done. You got one chance. There's a nice deeper little run. They'd probably be sitting down low because it's a little bit faster. There we go. A little wild trout though. It's all right. Whoa! He hit it pretty much as soon as that nymph hit the bottom. Pretty fish. Hey, buddy. It's fun to see those little trout hit this big old patch rubber leg. I threw this on because I was seeing some stonefly husks on the rocks. And so once again, it really just comes down to easy food source. If they're sitting at the bottom, the current is way different at the bottom than it is at the top. There's a fish. See how that dude was just sitting way down low right there. Oh, it's a bigger one. A little better fish right there. Oh yeah, it's decent. That'll be the biggest one I've caught in a minute. That looks extremely healthy. This might be a holdover. I don't know if you could see that, but he was right underneath all those riffles, which is exactly what makes nymphing so effective, you know? You're just able to cut right down through that stuff. This is a good sized trout. I'm trying to get a good shot of him before I release him. There we go, look at that. Healthy fish. Good fish. Just release him. See, buddy. That was a good one. That was probably 14 inches or so. All right, so we're gonna keep it moving though, because I want to show several different types of water. Just keeping it super simple for everybody. Don't want it to be too complicated, because I really think that it's easy for fly fishing to get overly complicated, and it takes the fun away. All right, I came down river quite a bit at this point. The water was just getting way too tight that far up, so I want to get a little more open. But yeah, a lot of times these trout will just hug the bottom, especially time of day like this where the sun is hitting the water, and really it's just for safety, and food is still going to be floating past them, so they, you know, they'll just sort of pop up a little bit, grab whatever is there to eat, and then go back down. I have no idea how deep this water is right here. Looks like it's pretty deep though. Oh, that felt like a fish. That is a fish. There we go. Nice. What in the world? Where's my net? Ah! It's gotta come pop off, isn't he? No, I got him. I have a feeling this is a holdover. His fins are perfect, but he's a little skinnier. Look how long and skinny he is. But look at all of his fins. No blemishes whatsoever. If they're a holdover, which just means, you know, they were stocked the prior year or, you know, a long time ago, they transition from pellets over to wild food, to natural food, and they'll thin out a lot. But yeah, these dudes will just glue to the bottom like that, especially in a run like this. The water is way slower down low. It's nowhere near as fast at the bottom as it is up top. And so they're able to just sit down there, sit, you know, a few inches off the bottom, and then they'll pop up and grab food. Okay, so that'll do it for that. Just know that fish like to hang out near the bottom. They spend a majority of their time down there. Of course, they come up to eat flies every now and then, but for the most part, they're gonna eat what is in front of their face. They're gonna eat nymphs dripping through the water. So for the next thing I wanted to go over is the fishing changes quite a bit based on the time of day. Now that the sun is up like this, I don't expect really to find many fish out here, or many fish that are willing to eat. And that's because they're afraid of predators. So when the sun is up like this, they're casting a shadow on the bottom. Any birds that are flying overhead can easily see them, and they'll swoop down and pick them off. And there are definitely bald eagles here. I might have already said that. You'll see them quite often, just cruising the creek, cruising the river. And so yeah, they're gonna be a little more skittish whenever the sun is up like that, and they're gonna come up and they're gonna get around structure, and they're gonna try to find shade. So all I'm saying is I wouldn't fish this. I would come up and I would fish probably around this rock or in this shade. You can see some of this stuff up here is also shaded. So I'm gonna hit these 3 little sections and see if we can get anything. And this spot right here actually looks pretty good. Even though there's sun hitting it, because there's a lot of riffles, they're still getting plenty of cover. That's another thing that makes fishing pocket water so effective. There's a fish right there, actually. Just down low a little bit. Oh, there you go, buddy. I'm gonna get one of this guy swimming away real quick. Very healthy, dude. Going crazy. Probably a terrible shot, but I tried. So another thing they'll do midday like this is they'll go down deep. And this run right here, that's why I like this section so much, because there's really all different kinds of water. But this run right here gets pretty deep. There's also plenty of cover over at the bank. So I'm gonna fish my way up this real quick. I just spooked one. Man, they're super spooky when the water's this low. That's good. Nice. There we go. Decent one too. Sort of jigging it along there. He was down low. Decent trout, actually. This guy's fighting like crazy. Pretty big one. Decent. I'd say about 13 maybe. Good one. See, bud. A lot of people think the bite just turns off once the sun hits the water. That really is not the case. It definitely slows down, but if you just find where the trout are holding, they'll definitely still eat. Okay, so that's gonna do it for that point there. Really just wanted to show how based on time of day or season even, the fish are gonna move to different spots in the river. So it's not all gonna fish the same. You know, in the morning, the spot behind me would have fished really well. And now that the sun is hitting it, there's nothing in there, nothing that's gonna bite at least. But we were able to get some up in the riffles here, and then up in a deeper hole up there, also in some riffles. So what I'm gonna do now is move to a completely different section of the river and hit on the last 2 points. All right, so I've spot hopped once again, and that actually goes pretty nicely into my next point, which is just move often. You know, not necessarily sections of the river, but I'll drift it through a run maybe 3 or 4 times, and then I'll move on from that. I found that trout will often hit really, really quickly if they are gonna eat or if they're there. So the more ground I can cover, the better. These pockets right up here, they're perfect for that kind of stuff. Chunk it in there, get a few good drifts, and then we'll move on. That's a fish. Yeah, buddy. There we go. Just like that. This might be a wild trout. See? No, it's just a little bitty stalker. See, buddy. So got one already, and let's see if we can just pop a few more times and pick up another one. Okay, just keep moving it from there. But when I learned just to spot hop like this, and just keep it moving, that is really when I started catching a lot more fish. Just don't spend too much time in one spot. And I kept having to remind myself of that too, especially if I could see fish. And that fits actually really nicely into the last point I'm gonna have for today. See if we can get one more though, and then we'll move on to that. Okay, maybe right on the other side of this deadfall here. No. There we go. Pulled him up from under that rock there. Nice. This dude was laying way under that rock. Whoa. Okay, well, you get the idea. All right, so that's gonna do it for that point. It really is just move quickly. I don't really think there's much else to it. You can disagree with me on that one if you want. All I'm saying is, in my opinion, in my experience, once I started moving around more often, I started catching way more fish. And that sort of flows pretty well into the last point I'm gonna make for today. Okay, for my last point, I really wish I had known this, or really had the self-discipline to go by this rule when I first started. I would have saved so much time. But do not spend too much time on pressured trout. You will see a lot of fish in here, and you'll see big fish, but because they're so pressured, they're not gonna eat anything. And the time that you spent chunking at these fish that are over here that you should be able to see, you could just walk up this and fish these pockets and catch 5 or 6 trout. There was one day when I passed by it, and that's not just this spot, there are many, many spots just like it. One day I passed by it, first thing in the morning, there's a dude standing out here. I came back at about 2 p.m., same dude was still here. I don't know how many he had caught, but I bet he would have caught way more if he just kept moving. I did see a fish just flash at this thing, so that's sick. I'll be able to get one this past rubber leg. Oh, that's a big one. There's a big one in there. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Now that I've seen a big one, I'm gonna wanna spend a lot of time here. It'd be awesome if I could get one of these big ones though. There's one. It's actually a decent trout. Don't spook them all. I'm gonna drag them out of there real quick because there were some bigger ones I wanted to go after. Like I'll say, don't waste your time on spots like this and then I pull out a decent trout. But that is the case. You'll pull out some fish, but really a lot of times what will get you is you'll see some really big ones in there and you'll just waste literally an hour or two casting at them when it's best just to move on. Decent fish there though, 12 inches or so. So yeah, you can pull a few of the little ones out of here. The thing is, there's typically some big ones in these deep holes. Look at this, there's a really big one right here. Like that, you see that? And I personally would cast at that for 30 minutes to an hour. It's definitely not worth it. Just most of the time they won't hit. Oh my goodness. Oh, I thought I hooked that big one. No, that's a little guy. That big one sort of turned towards it. Ah. Yeah, little bitty dude. Right now, I'm a living example of how this is a time sink because I've seen a couple of big ones and now I've been casting at them for about 10, 15 minutes. When really, I should just move on. Oh my goodness, but there is a tank in there. You probably couldn't see that. That fish is 22 inches probably. Dude. There's such a big fish right here, come on. I'm literally falling victim to the trap right now. There's a bunch of little dinks in here and then there's some monsters. Okay, and just like that, I'm gonna show some self-discipline and walk away. I think that's a great point to end it on though. Just as a new person, I would have spent probably 2 hours there. Now, those really popular holes, they get smacked all day. So those trout, just it's really hard to get the big ones to eat. But the idea of today's video is just to give some simple tips on where to find fish. And really, the main thing is trout just want easy food. They want some kind of protection. So find that and you will definitely find the fish. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end though. I really appreciate all the support on all these videos. If you don't mind leaving this video a like, it is super helpful. And also, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. But thank you so much once again, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. See ya.